Ahoy there, I'm Captain Chris. Not a real captain, but in this video I am going to tell you some of the most annoying things that we encountered during our cruise on P&O's newest and biggest ship, Arvia, and try to give you some advice on how to deal with them. And I'm going to be telling you what annoyed us the most and telling you whether I think the drinks packages are a rip-off. So first of all, I received a message after a previous video from a gentleman who'd also been on Arvia, and he said that he was regularly disturbed by noise from other people's children running around outside his cabin. Arvia is a huge ship that accommodates well over 5,000 passengers, and there could easily be hundreds or even over 1,000 children on board. If you're travelling without children, you might think that could be really annoying. So here are a couple of tips about avoiding other people's kids. Firstly, it's worth knowing that most of the entertainment for children is on the high decks, 16 and above. People travelling with children would do well to choose a cabin on a high deck to cut down on travelling time backwards and forwards between the cabin and the kids' clubs, pools and Splash Valley. But therefore, those travelling without children might consider choosing a cabin well away from those areas. Our cabin on deck 9 was handy for the formal restaurants and daytime activities like quizzes and games, but families with kids don't usually want those things, so we didn't really encounter other people's kids much, even though we went during school holidays. It's also worth knowing that Beachcomber Bar and Pool is for adults only at no extra cost, and the retreat is also nice and quiet, mainly because you do have to pay to get in. On the days when the ship is in port, people tend to go ashore straight after breakfast. This can cause a large logjam of people all trying to leave at the same time. On one of these port days we found it impossible to get a lift down to the deck where the gangway was, so we took the stairs. When we got to the deck we needed, we found that there was such a long queue of people waiting to disembark that the backlog reached back to the lift lobby. Then when the lift doors opened to bring more people down to disembark, the lobbies were so crammed that the people in the lifts couldn't get out. After a few seconds of stalemate, someone on another deck would call for a lift and the doors would close, and all the people still inside who hadn't been able to get out were taken back up to another deck against their will. We heard some people getting really irate about it, but I guess if a whole ship full of 5,000 people tried to do the same thing all at the same time, these kinds of queues are inevitable. My advice would be either to go very early or leave disembarking until the crush has died down a bit, especially for those who are exploring the port independently and don't have to connect with a coach trip or anything like that. Another problem that can be caused by the huge number of people on board comes at dinner time. Freedom dining, as P&O call it, should mean that you can simply turn up at the main restaurants anytime you like and you'll be seated. But in reality, it's simply unrealistic to expect that many people to all be seated at once, especially during the peak times of 7 to 8 p.m. What actually happens when you turn up is that you're made to queue, either by being given a paging device or by using the My Holiday website. The pages only work if you stay near the restaurant, so don't wander too far if you take one of these. But the virtual queue on the My Holiday website works anywhere on board, and you can use this even if you haven't paid for a Wi-Fi package. We usually joined the virtual queue on the website from the comfort of our cabin, and then we'd enjoy a drink while we were waiting to be called. When you're called, you then have 15 minutes to take your seats in the restaurants. Remember, you're allowed a litre of spirits per person for consumption in your cabin and all the mix of drinks you like. The less formal dining options like the buffet and the keys don't require any of this. You just turn up and collect the food yourselves, so you can avoid all the virtual queuing malarkey if you dine there. Next, I'm going to tell you the thing that we found most annoying of all. Before I do, can I quickly ask you to hit the subscribe button, which means that you'll know when I post another video and it tells me you found this video useful, which means a lot to me, so please subscribe. Thank you. The thing we found most annoying was the lack of available seating, especially after dinner. Sometimes we went to a show after dinner in Headliners Theatre or under the Sky Dome. We really enjoyed the shows, but there were times that we just fancied sitting in a bar or lounge for an hour or two in the evenings, and on those occasions we almost never could find a seat. The Crow's Nest is a lovely venue with piano music and a singer, but we never got in once in the evenings. The Clubhouse is a lively venue with entertainment like singers or a comedian, but we never got in there either. And Brodie's Bar is a British-style pub with quizzes and music in the evenings, but we never got in there either. This is something you might want to think about if you're going on a cruise anytime soon. Theatre shows can be booked and seats will be easier to find if you have your evening meal earlier. It was much easier to find a seat in the daytime because lots of people were outside sunbathing, although I guess if the weather wasn't suitable for that, those people would have been inside looking for a seat all day too. Sometimes we just gave up looking for a seat in a lounge or bar and just headed back to our cabin, so if an early night's not for you, you might want to plan your evening entertainment. Another one of my videos that lots of people are interested in is about the drinks packages. For a lot of cruisers, a drinks package is essential, but others see them as a rip-off and would rather pay as you go. Pay as you go is fine if you don't tend to drink much or if you've been given some credit to your onboard account. But are the packages really a rip-off for those who buy them? And are the prices really high for drinks on board, considering that the ship's passengers are a captive market? Well, the drinks prices on P&O ships compare well with my local pub, whereas if you look at another cruise line like MSC for example, you might be surprised by some of the differences. You can buy a 500ml bottle of cider on P&O for £5 and 5p at the time of me recording this video, but on MSC draft Strongbow is £8 a pint. A gin and tonic is £7.10 on P&O, but £13 on MSC. And the classic cocktails are all £10 on MSC, but a Cosmopolitan on P&O is only £7.15. So I don't think anyone's being ripped off by the prices on P&O. Of course, if you're thinking of buying a drinks package, you'll need to think carefully about whether you'll get your money's worth. And to help you work that out, there'll be a link to my video appearing down there. And until next time, thanks for watching.